In a world where fantasy and reality intertwine, Han Seojin lived a normal life until one fateful day. While navigating the familiar grind of daily existence, he found himself inexplicably pulled into a mobile game called Pick Me Up, a realm where heroes clashed and the fate of the land hung in the balance. The manhwa starts with showing a barren land with no clues or any information regarding what happened. The group, disoriented and confused, exchanged introductions, though their names held little meaning in this strange environment. "My name's Mormont Carl," declared one, his voice gruff and commanding. "I'm a mercenary. Do you have any idea where this is?" Another spoke up, Lyle, his tone softer. "I ran a wood shop in Adora, but I don't remember why I am here." Grit from Halcyon nervously added, "I work at an antique store, and I don't know why I'm here either." The confusion only deepened when Jenna, a young woman from a remote forest, whispered, "I have no idea what's going on." "My name is Jenna." The last to introduce himself was Han, the farmer. "Han Yslat. I'm a farmer, and it's the same for me." He glanced around, his brow furrowed. "So, you're telling me that all 11 of us don't know why we're here? What is this place?" One voice from the group echoed what they were all thinking. "Is this a dream?" As if to shatter the growing sense of bewilderment, Mormont snarled, "This was supposed to be peak harvest time. Did we get dragged here by a magician? Maybe for some sort of experiment?" "Don't spout stupid nonsense," Mormont shouted. A roar of frustration echoed through the area. "The only thing that's certain is that we're all from Taiwania." The tension was palpable when, suddenly, a strange, commanding voice cut through the din. "Master is about to open a space-time rift, so get ready to fight." The group spun around, startled by the source of this voice, a tiny, almost mischievous figure. "Who are you?" demanded one of them, his voice edged with suspicion. "I'm Isel, a fairy that manages this place," she chirped. "Are you the one who brought us here?" Grit questioned, his eyes narrowing. Isel smirked. "Why do you want to know?" Mormont stepped forward. "How can you be so shameless after kidnapping people? I'm going to make you spill it all out." The fairy sighed, her patience thinning. "If you don't want to die, stop while you're ahead." Mormont's tone grew more aggressive. "You sure know how to yap for a tiny little thing." He lunged forward, a move he would soon regret. Without hesitation, Isel flicked her fingers, her expression calm as she muttered, "I'm going to first teach you some manners." Mormont barely had time to react before his body seized up. Moments later, he collapsed, motionless. A system notification flashed before the group. "Mormont Carl has returned to the embrace of the goddess. His fighting spirit will be eternally remembered." Cause of death, suicide from stress. Isel looked at the corpse and shrugged. "Didn't I tell you to stop while you were ahead if you didn't want to die?" "This wouldn't have happened had you just listened to me. Anyone that lays a finger on me will end up a corpse." Panic swept through the group. Jenna screamed. "Cha!" He died. The atmosphere was suffocating as fear spread among them. Isel's gaze hardened. "Listen to my orders, fight well and win. That's all. Easy, right?" The party was quickly formed. "Lyle, Lanto, Merrill, Kelkard, Jackson, you're in Party 1. Master's finally starting to operate." "Get ready!" Isel's voice rang out. "Open space-time rift!" The command echoed as the group was ushered into action. The door opened ominously before them. "See that door? Go in, if you don't want to end up like the other guy." Han watched in disbelief as the party hesitated. "Wait!" one of them called out, stopping in their tracks. "What is it now?" Isel snapped impatiently. "I'm sure you want to climb the tower, don't you?" "Have the master summon a weapon. We're one-star heroes without even a basic weapon. You don't want to send in a suicide squad, do you?" A request for weapons was swiftly made. A system notification confirmed the summoning of equipment, and soon crude weapons began to materialize. Han took a step forward. "You said your name was Han, right? What do you know about this place?" He paused, contemplating his words. "I don't know much either. I haven't been here long. You just have to go into the battlefield and kill all the enemies," Isel replied coldly. "As for the rest, figure it out yourself." Han watched with a heavy heart as Party 1 entered the rift. A short while later, the system messages began to flood in. Maryln has returned to the embrace of the goddess. Her fighting spirit will be eternally remembered. Kelkud has returned to the embrace of the goddess. Her fighting spirit will be eternally remembered. The deaths continued until the entire party had been wiped out. Han clenched his fists. "A wipeout already?" he muttered under his breath. Yslat was not impressed. "Useless bastards, a wipeout on the first floor." Without a moment's pause, Yslat formed a new party. This time, Han, Jenna, Dazil, Grit, and Gale were called forward. Dazil, already frightened, tried to protest. "Miss Fairy, I can't walk anymore due to my arthritis. Please leave me out." Jenna rolled her eyes. "Arthritis? But you were walking just fine earlier." "It just got better," Dazil replied hastily. Meanwhile, Han scanned the surroundings and noticed a crude wooden shield. He picked it up, examining its pitiful craftsmanship. "All right, everyone, get ready," Yslat ordered. As they stepped through the door, a new battlefield awaited. The system's cold, monotone voice echoed around them. Floor 1 quest type, subjugation. Objective, eliminate all enemies. Goblin warriors with their snarling faces and jagged weapons approached. The terror in the group was palpable. Jenna is frightened. All stats have decreased by Dazil is frightened. All stats have decreased by 30%. As panic set in, the stats of the heroes plummeted, making them vulnerable. Amidst the chaos, Jenna turned to Han. "Can we leave if we defeat these goblins?" Han's face was pale, but he managed a weak nod. "I think so. Do you know how to shoot a bow?" "My father was a hunter," Jenna replied. "I'll fight up close while you shoot from the back." "Can you do that?" "Yes." Jenna nodded, clutching the bow. The others were too far gone, their fear overwhelming any rational thought. Han sighed in frustration. "As for them, don't pay them any mind. They're useless pieces of shit." With goblins charging toward them, Han prepared for battle, gripping his sword tightly. "My name is Han Yslat, but my real name is Han Seojin," he muttered to himself. "And I think I ended up being sucked into a shitty-ass RNG game." This game, published by Mobius Corp., was not just another digital distraction. It was an elaborate tapestry woven with challenges that tested the limits of strategy, resource management, and heroics. Pick Me Up had become a phenomenon, boasting over 100 million downloads, a testament to its allure. As Han glanced at the game's promotional banner announcing a special event with promises of gems and premium hero summons, he couldn't shake the feeling of impending chaos. This was a game where heroes were ranked from 1 star to 7 star, and Han knew his luck had always betrayed him. Despite countless attempts and thousands of free pulls, he had never managed to acquire anything above a 5-star hero. His eyes darted to the warning banners. The dungeon was opening, and it promised death and glory. But something felt amiss. The screen flashed a warning. All party members feel fear. Stats decreased by 30%. Panic spread through the ranks of heroes, and the atmosphere was thick with dread. Among the assembled heroes, Diora, a hero, recommended retreating. What are these guys afraid of? Han wondered, his heart racing. He needed to see the boss's patterns to devise a strategy, but the ensuing chaos was overwhelming. Before he could process the gravity of the situation, the battle commenced, and the sheer power of the level 999 monster annihilated his party. Diora's spirit faded into the embrace of the goddess, her bravery cut short. One by one, Nicholas and Kent fell, their fighting spirits eternally remembered as the screen glitched in an ominous display. They got wiped without even seeing its patterns, Han thought, a cold sweat creeping down his back. He felt utterly helpless, watching the demise of heroes he barely knew. Suddenly, the game flashed a prompt he hadn't seen before, creating new account. Confusion filled his mind as he read the next message. Please choose a name between 2 to 6 characters. No special characters. He didn't have time to process it before it suggested a name. Whatever. Whatever, Han exclaimed internally, his heart racing. This wasn't his doing. In an instant the name was confirmed, and he was thrust into the world of Pick Me Up. The tutorial began without his consent, guiding him to a small village in the Heim territory. What is this? The land of harmony between humans and non-humans? He questioned, bewildered. An unknown enemy had invaded this peaceful continent, and the game's interface urged him to climb the tower to save the world. "Master!" a voice called, and Han's confusion only deepened. "If you wish to save the world, then climb the tower." The tutorial quest was clear: defeat the goblins that have invaded the village. Goblins? Was this all real? The battles began automatically, each encounter leaving Han more bewildered. As his hero fought, he couldn't comprehend the weight of killing another living being. Yet, after each victory, he leveled up, rewards flooding in like a cruel joke. What's going on? Is this even real? He thought, as the familiar scenery around him started to warp into a reality he couldn't grasp. The screen prompted Master to summon allies. "What the hell is going on?" he shouted as the game summoned a hero. The bright light revealed a new figure, Shei Radasteri, a knight, and the disparity in their abilities became painfully clear. "Han Seojin, I am Shei Radasteri, a knight," she introduced herself, her voice steady despite the chaos. System prompt appeared. "Master, the heroes have heroically finished their battle. The last tutorial is waiting for you." Han found himself grappling with the reality of his situation. "What is this? Why am I here?" he stammered. "And why do I look like Han Yslat?" "Yslat? You're different from the picture." Ysel, her expression a mix of confusion and curiosity. "You're not Han Yslat?" "No, I'm Han Seojin, born in Seoul-Gangseo-gu," he explained, desperation creeping into his voice. "Send me back while I'm asking nicely. Did you come from Earth?" Ysel asked incredulously. "Would I have come from Mars?" he snapped, frustration boiling over. "I'm going to lose my mind. Just go in for now." "But I'll die if I go in," he protested, panic rising. "You won't die, you'll get synthesized," she argued, but Han was not convinced. "That's the same thing," he yelled back, resisting the pull of the tutorial's command. Yet the game continued without his consent, pulling him deeper into its mechanics. "Master, starting synthesis," the screen chimed. He felt a knot in his stomach as the reality of his fate dawned on him. Synthesis was a method of combining heroes, but the mechanics were harsh. One hero would be sacrificed to enhance another. "This is how I'm going to die," he thought, dread washing over him as he recognized his role as the one-star hero in a game governed by cold statistics. Shei's fate was sealed as she glowed with light fading from existence. "Why are you disappearing? You're a 4-star and I'm a 1-star. "I wasn't chosen," Shei said with a sad smile, feeling the weight of despair settle in. As the system message confirmed her demise, Han couldn't shake the feeling of hopelessness that enveloped him. "What the hell is happening?" he whispered, shaken to his core. But he survived, only to realize the bizarre mechanics of this game. "I, Han Seojin, was summoned as the 1-star hero Han Yslat," he reflected, overwhelmed by the absurdity of his situation. His thoughts were interrupted by a chilling realization. He was now a pawn in a game manipulated by an unseen player. The master of the account, controlling him with little regard for his own life. As he braced for what lay ahead, he steeled himself against the trials of this strange new world, determined to navigate the chaos of pick me up and uncover the truth behind his summons. The adventure was just beginning, and Han knew he would need to fight for his survival in this unforgiving realm, where even a 1-star hero could make a difference if given the chance. Han Seojin stood firm, his thoughts clear. "I've come to assert it," he declared inwardly. There was no room left for acting like a child. He knew what he had to do. Inside the world of Pick Me Up, he had been reborn and summoned as a 1-star hero. The very title weighed heavy on him, knowing the harsh reality ahead. In this brutal game, there were only 2 ways for a hero to meet their end, either dying in combat or being synthesized. And as a 1-star hero, the latter was his most likely fate. The stats didn't lie. 1-star heroes were nothing but props, the weakest of the weak. Their growth values were abysmal, leaving them practically useless in any significant fight. Han knew, deep down, if he didn't find a way to grow stronger soon, the looming threat of being synthesized would catch up to him, and he wouldn't stand a chance. I have to get stronger, Han thought grimly. Without strength, there was no surviving this nightmare, no chance at revenge, no hope of returning. The path forward seemed bleak, but Han understood the stakes: adapt or die. It was that simple. The weight of his situation only reminded him of his days in mandatory military service. Damn it! It's not enough to just be physically strong, he thought. I also have to change mentally. If I get nervous or freeze up, I won't make it. This world doesn't allow hesitation. A memory flickered in his mind. You survived on your own when you were young. Don't forget that! Even without parents, even without anyone to protect him, he had made it through. That raw determination would be needed now more than ever. He forced himself to recall the relentless restlessness of his younger days, knowing it would fuel his survival now. Suddenly, Jenna approached, her voice breaking through his focused thoughts. What are you doing? Training to kill monsters? Why are you so rude? I went out of my way to look for you. Han blinked at her. She looked serious, and her words confirmed what he had been thinking about all night. She wasn't giving up either. I thought about it all night, about what I should do from now on, Jenna admitted. First of all, we can't leave, right? Since my father was a hunter, shooting arrows in my spare time was my hobby. I won't be a hindrance. Her determination was clear. I don't think the situation will change if I just do nothing and cry. You know how to survive here, right? Was yesterday your first real combat experience? Han's eyes narrowed, but he nodded slightly. Jenna was talking more than usual, but it seemed she had realized the same thing he had. Survival required adapting. Obviously, I stayed indoors all the time, she said, with a weak smile referring to her past sheltered life. How good are you with the bow? Han asked, wondering if Jenna's skills would be helpful. So-so, Jenna replied modestly. Han studied her stats. Her growth rate wasn't great, but she had gained 4 points after the previous day's experience, and despite being sloppy in her first real fight, she had still managed to kill a goblin. A gem, he thought. Her willpower and determination set her apart from others. She wasn't dwelling on the deaths around her, she was focused on what needed to be done next. It was a rare and valuable trait in this world. All right, I'll help you, Han said, his decision made. He remembered something his father used to say, pick the right person to follow if you want to survive. Jenna seemed like a good choice. Jenna's face lit up. Please take care of me, she said with a smile. A message flashed before Han's eyes. Jenna feels goodwill towards Han. Friendship bonus created. A tip appeared as well. Heroes that are friendly with one another receive bonuses when in a party together. Use this well. The message, though promising, gave Han pause. That message is a bit worrisome, he thought. Turning his head, he called out, Ysel, are you here? A voice, filled with frustration, responded almost immediately. Ah, what is it this time? I'm busy, Han smirked. You show up really fast for someone who's busy, he taunted. But then his tone grew serious. No matter how many times you ask me, I'm not going to tell you anything. If you're so curious, climb the tower. The answers are in the tower. Han frowned. Am I the only one that can see the status screen above your head? He asked, not expecting much of a response. My cell froze. What did you say? I don't know what you're talking about, she stammered. Han's eyes narrowed as he studied her carefully. Her status floated above her head clear as day. Why cell level? 257. I can clearly see that it says 257, he stated, his voice calm but probing. Isel's eyes widened in shock. I guess you can see it, huh? She said hesitantly. Is it because your existence is jumbled up? She muttered under her breath, clearly not intending for him to hear that part. Han had already picked up on it, though. She was hiding something. Han's mind worked quickly. I'm the only one who can see these game messages. The Master's messages, too. That changes things. He needed more information. Why, so, what are we going to do if the Master quits the game? Yslat looked exasperated. "The master! I just pray that they won't quit." She avoided eye contact, clearly not wanting to dwell on the subject. Han sighed. His mind raced back to when his master, whatever, had nearly combined him by accident with another hero, an event that could have ended disastrously. A 4-star hero had ended up synthesized with a 1-star. The odds of that happening in a free summon were astronomical, only 1%. Yet, it had happened due to a misinput. The stakes in this world, where Pick Me Up was linked to the player's phone, didn't allow for resets. A week had passed since the master last logged in, and time flowed differently here than on Earth. "Stop asking me questions," Yslat snapped. "I'm not going to answer you," Han smirked. "So you're saying that time flows differently here?" "Thanks for the tip," he teased. Yslat groaned in frustration. "Hey, this fucking 1-star trash!" He knew that in this world the fairy couldn't touch him. She could only interfere when it was a matter of self-defense, or if a hero actively rejected the master's orders. It was time to figure out the rules of this place, one by one. Han realized that adapting was not just a suggestion, it was a law of survival. If he couldn't adapt, death awaited him. Just then, Jenna interrupted. "What are you two talking about?" Her voice pulled Han back to the moment. "We'll have to raid a 100-floor tower," Han explained, already mentally preparing for the challenges ahead. "An existence called Master gives orders through Yslat. We follow them and progress through missions. Once we reach the 100th floor, we should be able to get released." Jenna's eyes widened as she digested this new information. "Does that mean we'll have to continuously fight monsters?" "That's why we have to train. We need to get stronger," Han replied firmly. Jenna looked worried. "Is that possible with just the two of us?" Han shrugged. "The master can use money to summon more people like us. They're going to summon a lot of people. Our choices from this point on will decide our lives. But ultimately, our lives depend on the master's choices." After 3 days of intense training, Han discovered something interesting about this world. Each day, the necessities and food were replenished as if by magic. If he thought about something he wanted, it would appear the next day, either in a drawer or in the closet. Guns, however, didn't seem to be part of that deal. There were limits. He also learned the importance of training, which wasn't just about increasing stats or levels. It was about gaining skills and refining abilities. Through his training, Han acquired 2 new skills: beginner swordsmanship and beginner shield proficiency, both at level 1. It had been 3 days of grinding and preparation, but the time for action had arrived. Suddenly, a familiar notification appeared before him. "Welcome to Pick Me Up." The master has connected to the game. Han braced himself. "Get ready, the master's here." Jenna blinked in surprise. "Already?" Han nodded. "It's been 3 days." Then the master's voice echoed in the void. "Master Vateva will begin the summoning." The atmosphere thickened with anticipation as the master initiated the summoning sequence. Han prepared himself for what came next: new heroes. 3 times the summoning process repeated. "Master has acquired 1-star hero Aaron." "Master Fatva has acquired 1-star hero Toby." "Master has acquired 1-star hero Yelsons." The summoned heroes appeared out of thin air, disoriented and confused. One of them, Aaron, gasped, "Where am I?" Jenna stepped forward, trying to calm the new arrivals. "Guys, we have to prepare to fight. We'll explain everything after we survive this." The newcomers, still in shock, stammered questions. "Fight! Who are you?" Toby demanded, his face pale. But there was no time to explain as the space-time rift opened before them and the battlefield awaited. "Aaron has joined Party 1. Toby has joined Party 1. Yelsons has joined Party 1. Jenna quickly snatched up a weapon following Han's earlier warning. "Jenna, pick up a weapon before it's too late." "Yes," she responded, gripping the hilt of her new blade tightly. A system tip appeared before them all. Heroes without equipment will enter battle with an old iron sword. If you place weapons in the armory, they will be equipped. Don't forget, you can also assign weapons manually. But there was a problem. Everyone from their previous group had died with their weapons on them. Now, they had no extra weapons to spare for the new heroes. Han's voice cut through the growing panic. All of you, come. We have to survive. One of the new arrivals, frantic with fear, shouted, "Who are you? Where did you come from? Send us back." Han sighed inwardly. He had been through this before. It wasn't me. I was pulled here too. The panic among the new heroes was palpable, but Han knew they would soon understand. They didn't have time for hysteria. One of the new heroes continued to protest, "My wife is waiting for me. Send me back!" But the battle had already begun. Before any more arguments could be made, a new system notification chimed. Floor 2 quest type, extermination. Objective, wipe out all enemies. Suddenly, they were transported to the battlefield, facing off against a level 4 plains wolf and a level 3 goblin. Fear gripped the new recruits immediately. Aaron is frightened. All stats have decreased by 30%. Toby is frightened. All stats have decreased by 30%. Yelson's is frightened. All stats have decreased by 30%. Even Jenna wasn't immune to the overwhelming fear of the situation. Jenna is frightened. All stats have decreased by 30%. Han clenched his teeth. Han, did you get scared too? Jenna's voice shook beside him. Han took a deep breath. Take care of those 2 goblins. I'll handle the wolves. As if steeling herself for battle, Jenna shook off the fear, her stats returning to normal. Jenna is no longer frightened. Han noticed how quickly she had recovered. It was a relief that she had only been slightly scared, unlike the others, who were still too panicked to be of much help. "They're coming!" Jenna warned, preparing for the incoming enemies. Han gripped his weapon tightly, launching himself at the wolves. The clash of metal and growls filled the air, the old iron sword in his hand barely doing any damage, but it was enough. He managed to cut down one of the wolves. He glanced at Jenna, seeing her struggle with the goblins but holding her own. The battlefield fell silent as the final goblin dropped to the ground, its body riddled with arrows. Jenna stood over it, catching her breath. Han approached slowly, staring at the creature's lifeless form. "Ench, and the goblins? You've turned it into a real pincushion," he muttered, giving the goblin a light kick. "How many arrows did you shoot into it? Stop!" "It's dead." Suddenly, the cold system voice echoed through the air. "Stage clear!" A series of notifications appeared. Han, Jenna, level up, MVP Han. Rewards, 5,000 gold, iron ore grade C, leather grade C. Jenna blinked, still processing what just happened. "What's happening?" Before Han could respond, the system blared again. "Congratulations on clearing the 2nd floor, ascending to the 3rd floor." The feeling of being pulled upward gripped them, just like when they ascended to the 2nd floor. "It's the same as before. We're being sent up to the 3rd floor," Han muttered, trying to steady himself. "If the Master's reckless, they might push us directly into the next floor." The sensation stopped, and they found themselves on the 3rd floor. Before either could react, Ysel yawned loudly, stretching her arms above her head. "Yo! I'm all tuckered out," she said casually, casting a teasing glance at Han. "We're the ones who are at it. Why are you tired?" Han grunted, glancing at his updated stats. Han Yslat, level 6, EXP 13/50. Class, novice, strength, 17/17, intelligence, 14/14, vitality, 16/16, dexterity, 16/16. Skills, beginner swordsmanship level 1, beginner shield proficiency level 1. "My intelligence has gone down by 1, Han muttered to himself, "but my strength's gone up by 2. My general stat growth is still 4 points. Looks like my physique's improving." One of the newcomers, pale and trembling, interrupted, his voice shaky. "Why do we need to fight? Where the hell is this place? And what were those monsters?" Jenna turned to him, her expression firm. As I said, we need to fight in order to survive. You can leave the thinking for later. Another recruit shouted in frustration. How do you expect me to fight monsters when I've never touched a weapon in my life? Han narrowed his eyes at the recruit, already sensing where this was going. I think I know why 1-stars are called trash. The 2-star Mormont said he was a mercenary. Does that mean combat-focused professions get summoned at higher star levels? He continued to think as the argument escalated, glancing at Jenna and the recruits. High-class mercenaries don't panic like these people. If you throw a freshly summoned 1-star into battle, they'll panic 100% of the time. Were they summoned with prior knowledge? Do they know why they need to fight? Jenna let out an exasperated sigh, turning to Han. Jeez, they're impossible. Can't you help out a little, Han? Han looked at the recruits, then turned away. Why would I bother with useless trash like them? We should coax them forward, make them teammates. It's better than nothing, Jenna replied, her tone more measured. Han glanced back at the recruits, his voice colder. They'll disappear soon anyway, you'll see. It's not that they'll be killed in battle. If they stay like this, they'll vanish. You and I will fight together again in the next battle. Forget those guys. The newcomer, anger bubbling to the surface, suddenly grabbed Han by the collar. Hey, I want to ask you guys something! Without missing a beat, Han struck the recruit back, sending him stumbling. Keep it to yourself. It's annoying. The recruit, clutching his chest, stammered, No, I just... Han cut him off, turning away. There, I did as you wanted. Happy? Jenna glanced over, smirking. The next day's training came quickly. After a basic round of exercises, Han practiced with a wooden sword, while Jenna focused on honing her skills with her bow. Han's beginner swordsmanship has increased to level 2. Han's beginner shield proficiency has increased to level 2. Han noticed that the other recruits were nowhere to be found. They're still wandering around, huh? Jenna shook her head. They went looking for an exit, saying they'd leave this place. Of course, they couldn't find one. Han sighed, swinging his sword once more. Shh. Useless. Suddenly, Jenna noticed a wound on Han's leg. Are you all right? Han barely glanced at the mark. I told you, don't worry about it. The natural laws here aren't the same as where you're from. Wounds heal quickly. Just then, a system notification appeared. Han has attained the skill Pain Resistance. Han smirked. Pain is proof I'm alive. Again, he barked, resuming his strikes with the sword. Sweat dripped down his face, but he refused to stop. Jenna watched with a mix of concern and amazement. Yes, she called, trying to keep pace. Again, Han demanded, pushing himself harder and harder. His movements were becoming smoother, faster. Let's stop, Jenna started, but Han was unrelenting. Again, he shouted. Suddenly a wave of energy surged through him. A new system message flashed in front of his eyes. Skill awakening. Beginner swordsmanship and beginner shield proficiency have synthesized into a new skill. Beginner sword and shield proficiency attained. Later that day, Ysel strolled into the square. Come to the square when the master logs in, she said casually. You asking for a beating? Jenna smirked. Excellent. Just training all the time had me itching for a change. Han glanced at Jenna. How come it feels like you're adapting faster than I am? Jenna shrugged with a grin. I'm kind of made of tough stuff. In the background, the recruits groaned loudly. Send us back! I'm tired of eating potatoes, one shouted. Another recruit piped up. You're gonna make us fight again, aren't you? I don't want to, Ysel's patience snapped. Oi! She shouted. I'll have you all writing apology letters if it's the last thing I do. Get over here. The recruits paled, shuffling forward. Yes, ma'am, they muttered weakly. 3rd floor, quest type, subjugation. Objective, eliminate all enemies. As the mission started, Han's expression hardened. Their gear and tactics have improved, but it's nothing we can't handle. Fight as we've trained. Jenna readied her bow. Let's go. The battle was brutal, but with their newly acquired skills, they cut through the enemies with relative ease. The goblins fell one after another, their strategies no match for Han and Jenna's combined efforts. Stage clear, Jenna. Level up. MVP Jenna. Rewards. 7,000 gold, iron ore grade C, leather grade C. As they finished, Han looked over at the recruits. They had stayed out of the fight entirely, still too afraid to join. It doesn't matter, Han muttered. I don't want to split experience with them anyway. Jenna nodded. If they don't fight, they won't get any XP. A message flashed before them. Tips when dealing with disobedient herds, try spinning the wheel of fortune. They'll become better behaved. Han watched silently as the master's presence loomed. Looks like the master's about to spin the wheel of fortune, he said, his voice low. Jenna glanced around uneasily. It's not over yet, is it? Han remained quiet, eyes fixed on the master's next move. The stage reset once again. After the battle and the stage clear announcement, the group stood silent, awaiting the master's next move. Suddenly, a new system message flashed in front of them. Floor 1 challenge again? Han looked up, a flicker of surprise crossing his face. Floor 1, quest type, subjugation. Objective, eliminate all enemies. The group was transported back to the first floor. Han's expression darkened as he realized the master had chosen the safer route to keep the recruits alive. They went for the safety of the first floor, huh? He muttered to Jenna. Jenna nodded, loosening her grip on her bow. Seems like the master's not totally heartless. They're the same goblins from the first floor. Stage clear. MVP Jenna. Rewards, 10,000 gold. The goblins went down easily this time, with Jenna taking the lead. The stage cleared quickly, but the tension wasn't fading. Floor 1 challenge again? Han grimaced. The master won't let us rest if we keep clearing it this easily, he said quietly, more to himself than anyone else. We're going to have to do this again. The recruit stood off to the side, clearly uncomfortable, but at least alive. Jenna shook her head. They're no closer to fighting than before, she muttered under her breath. Another notification hit. Stage clear, MVP Han. Rewards, 10,000 gold. The repetition was taking its toll, but the master wasn't done. They returned to the third floor once again, and the new challenge was waiting for them. Floor 3, quest type, subjugation. Objective, eliminate all enemies. Goblin level 4. The goblins on the third floor were stronger, but after their earlier experience, Han and Jenna moved in sync, cutting through them as a team. The goblins couldn't match their refined tactics. Stage clear. Rewards, 10,000 gold. MVP Han. Han wiped the sweat from his brow, glancing around. I'm getting tired. Do you think the master will send us again? Jenna shrugged, her voice equally exhausted. Who knows? It's driving me nuts. How long do we have to keep taking care of those people? Han let out a breath. Don't worry, he said with a grim look. It'll be over today. Jenna blinked, confused. What do you mean by, it'll be over? They don't look like they're going to change their ways at all. Han's eyes darkened. I don't think the master can afford to keep good-for-nothings around. Then another system notification appeared. Master, starting synthesis. The recruits, confused and scared, looked around in panic. One of them spoke up, their voice trembling. What's that place for? The system guided the master with cold precision. Drag and drop the hero you want to sacrifice to the hero you want to synthesize. Han's expression turned colder as he watched the process unfold. Farewell, you idiots who can't even grab an opportunity when it's handed to you, he thought bitterly. The sacrificed hero will cease to exist. The recruits paled as they realized what was happening. This was no ordinary game anymore, it was survival. Those who refused to fight wouldn't be given another chance. As Han watched the process, his eyes flicked toward the newly expanded base facilities. Space-time rift, synthesis chamber, armory, battle facility, residences, town square, training grounds, alchemy facilities, summoning room, landing area. The base was evolving with every floor they cleared, preparing for the challenges ahead. But not everyone would make it through to the end. Han stood silently as the system worked, knowing that those who refused to fight would soon be gone. And in this place, there were no second chances. The tension in the room was palpable as the looming decision of who would be sent to the synthesizing room weighed heavily on everyone's minds. Han stood before the group, his gaze cold and unwavering as the two recruits trembled under his scrutiny. "I've given chances," Han's voice echoed through the hall. "When I look at it, a lot of chances." The lazy recruits stammered in protest, their voices desperate. "We didn't do anything, we were just dragged along." "That's what you think?" Han replied, his tone dismissive, a hint of exhaustion evident. Yslat, the ever-present overseer, watched with an uncharacteristic smirk. This is the first time we think the same way," she mused, her eyes narrowing. One of the recruits, panicking, turned to Han. "What do you want me to do?" "Help you?" Han shook his head slowly. "It would have been different if you had at least pretended to fight." Yslat interjected, her voice sharp and impatient. "I've already gotten bored of you." "Just go in there." The system's voice chimed in, cold and impartial. "Do you wish to synthesize?" The recruit's heart raced as he saw the only two options, yes or no. "This is not fair. Let me." "Ah!" Before he could resist any further, the room was flooded with light, and the first recruit disappeared, his screams echoing as his body dissolved into energy. Synthesizing complete. Jenna, levels up. Acquired skill Hawkeye. The remaining recruits looked around in terror. One of them muttered, "What? What happened?" Han's voice was cold as steel. "In this place, those who are useless die as sacrifices." Before anyone could react, Yslat called out, her voice ringing with anticipation. "Now, which one of you will it be next?" "Han and Toby?" The panic-stricken recruit Toby burst into hysterical laughter, trying to hold on to any shred of hope. "Why, you're sending me home, right?" "Right? I'm going back home. Back home." His voice cracked with desperation. "Yeah," Han replied, his expression unreadable. "Just think of it that way." Once more the system chimed in, indifferent to the suffering of the living beings it controlled. Synthesizing complete. Toby turns into light and disappears. Han levels up. Acquired skill Composure. Silence fell. The room was darker now. 2 lives gone without a trace. Han stood motionless as Jenna, watching everything unfold, began to question her own fate. "So you disappear in there if the master thinks you're useless?" Jenna's voice wavered, fear creeping into her words. Han glanced at her briefly. "Why are you sad? You were the one who didn't wish to be left behind." Her heart sank. "Will that happen to me one day, if I become useless?" Han didn't answer right away, his eyes focused on the distance. "The higher we go, the stronger the monsters and players will have to fight become. We'll either die to our enemies or die as sacrifices." Jenna's voice trembled. "You seem to know everything. If you want to live," Han interrupted, "then follow what your father said. Get close to those who are strong." The second day arrived, quieter but no less tense. Jenna approached Han cautiously, trying to gather her resolve. "Please take good care of me," she exclaimed suddenly, her hands clasped tightly. Han raised an eyebrow, confused by the abrupt request. "Did something happen to you?" "You said to get close to those who are strong," Jenna continued, her face flushed with embarrassment. "So I will get closer to those who are strong. Please take good care of me." Han sighed, clearly frustrated. "Unbelievable. I'm sorry, I was stupid. I was only causing trouble," Aroni continued. "Leaving you guys alone to fight was cowardly, but it'll be different now." He looked up at Han, his eyes filled with guilt and hope. Han remained silent for a moment, then asked, "And how am I supposed to trust you?" "If you want, I can even go down on my knees for you. So please." Aaron's desperation was clear. Han cut him off, his voice stern. "Hey, have you ever fought a monster?" He shook his head, hesitating. I hadn't, but you're so good at it." Han stared into the distance. A difference in resolution, the resolve to win a fight and survive. He handed him a spear. "Here. I'm not an expert, but I heard that it's the easiest weapon to pick up. Try using that." "Do you know the basics?" Han asked, testing his knowledge. Jenna hesitated before responding. "Close-ranged sword, mid-range spear, ranged bow. Are these the basics? When there are only 3 of us that make up the party, that's the most efficient way of doing it, Han explained before walking away. During a sparring session, the tension only escalated. Han's patience was wearing thin. You're asking me to teach you when I've never used a spear? I learned how to fight by myself. So go and learn by yourself too. A quick strike later, Aaron found himself on the ground, groaning in pain. Just be thankful that you have an opponent to fight, Han shouted. I only had scarecrows as opponents. Jenna, watching the one-sided training session unfold, muttered under her breath, Aren't you being too harsh for his first time? Han glared at her. I don't want to be caring for someone else. I'll leave you behind if you can't keep up. Han glanced at Aaron. Do you have a family? Someone waiting for you? Aaron hesitated. A sister. She's waiting for me. Han's expression darkened. At least you have someone. I have nobody. Are you okay with not going back? With never seeing her again? Aaron's eyes flared with a new intensity, a spark igniting. I won't let that happen. Han, seeing the shift, nodded with a glimmer of hope. Good. You'll need that fire. Later that day, as Han wandered through the base, he noticed the system message flash before his eyes. You've selected the forge, which is the annex of the armory level 1. Do you wish to build it? 500 gems would be consumed. I unlocked free roam, Han muttered to himself. And now that the forge is open, Ysel, come out if you're here. Isel's voice echoed behind him, cutting through his thoughts. Who do you think you are to call me wherever you please? Han smiled slightly. I'm getting bored of that repertoire. Try to change it. Ysel, clearly flustered, lashed out playfully before Han stopped her in her tracks. You were the one sending tips to WhatAVR, right? Can you go on the internet? You should be able to if you can interfere with the system. Ysel pouted but admitted, Yeah, I can. My hobby is to surf around the web. Han nodded, understanding. So, the tips you're sending are being used as a base. Once you summon 10 times, you unlock level 1 of the training grounds, Han explained, and then you unlock the forge after that. Isel's eyes narrowed. How do you know that? It's a popular post on the Pick Me Up site, you know, Han said. The one that Loki posted. Ysel blinked in surprise. You know Loki? Of course, Han smirked. I'm a user of Pick Me Up too. Ysel chuckled darkly. Heh, you were probably just one of those stuck in the lower stages. Mr. Loki was the master of masters, the god of Pick Me Up. Han's smile grew colder. Why do you like Loki? Because, Ysel grinned, he's the one who made the impossible possible. Made the impossible possible, Han whispered to himself. Ysel's tone turned accusatory. You don't even know that when you're a pick-me-up user. She was ready to continue praising Loki when Han's voice cut her off, calm yet firm. Mr. Loki is, he smiled darkly as Ysel froze, her eyes wide with disbelief. Sorry to break the news, Han said, his voice dripping with finality. I am Loki. Ysel stared in disbelief. The tension in the room was thick, Ysel's voice trembling with disbelief. Are you? What are you talking about? What kind of bluff is that? Han remained completely calm, his expression as unreadable as ever. Account number 46631913. Due to the risk of hackers, only the master and the server officials know it. You can check it if you don't believe me. Or do you want me to give you the Goggle account details too? Ysel blinked, utterly shocked, her voice faltering. No way. You're that person? It doesn't make sense. Really? Really? For real? Suddenly, excitement overwhelmed her, a grin spreading across her face. Give me your autograph, you idiot. Let's go. With this, I'm a VIP member of Ragnar. She paused, barely able to contain herself. You don't get it, do you? This is for the Master of Masters. Your signature makes me a very important person in the fan cafe. Han raised an eyebrow. That's a thing? Ysel, her excitement bubbling over, barely noticed his confusion. Of course. You're the Loki. All I need is your signature, and I'm in the top tier of the fan cafe. Then it hit her. The realization settled in, and her voice quivered. Wait. Does that mean I've been saying all those cheeky things to you this whole time? Han shrugged, not giving it much thought. I'm only level 1, so who cares? Isel's panic returned, her voice frantic. Hold on, hold on, hold on! What's going to happen to Niflheim without you? Han's voice was cool as he replied, I wonder. His thoughts drifted back to the waiting room he left behind. Niflheim, that's what she calls it. My waiting room. 13 floors, 20,000 people. The best infrastructure, levels 18 to 22. But what does it all matter if I'm not there? I'm the one who should be commanding them. 20,000 troops under my command. If I'm here, what happens to them? Sel's worried voice cut through his thoughts, snapping him back to the moment. What about the 20,000 troops? Han's tone was sharp. If you're so worried, why don't you send me back? I can't do that, Isel stammered, quieter now. Han looked at her knowingly. I figured as much. You're just an intermediary, a manager doing odd jobs. The real master, the one who owns this waiting room. He's just a human from Earth, right? And the heroes he commands, they aren't AI either. Isel nodded, still uncertain where this was leading. Han's thoughts raced as he spoke. All this time, the so-called master doesn't know. He has no idea we're real. He thinks we're just characters in his game, all for his amusement. He enjoys playing pick-me-up while real people like us are forced into crisis fighting to survive. He paused, letting the weight of his words settle in. So, if I climb the tower to the 100th floor, can I return to Earth? Isel hesitated. I don't know. Han sighed, his frustration barely hidden. You don't know? He shook his head. Fine, I'll figure it out when I get there. He shifted, focusing on the present. How much of the Master's authority can you access? Isel hesitated again, thinking carefully. Right now? I can give advice, open and close facilities, and assist with autonomous activities. That's about it. Han nodded thoughtfully. Are the other Masters' waiting rooms similar to this one? Isel nodded. Mostly. Each is a little different, but they're essentially the same. Han's mind wandered once more, his thoughts moving quickly. So there are 100 million of these worlds. Every world inside the game is real. The game's claim about creating limitless heroes with thousands of patterns, it was all a lie. Mobius didn't summon AI, it created real people. Every hero inside these games, they're all real. My decisions in the game, the ones I didn't even think twice about, could have cost someone's life. Why Sel? The sudden sound of his voice startled her. Yeah, if you want to climb the tower, Han said firmly, then you'll have to follow my instructions carefully. I'll allow you to climb, but only if you listen to me. The next day arrived quietly, but Han's mind was already running through the events of the previous battles. He thought back to Jenna's growth, analyzing her progress in his usual calm, detached manner. Jenna is a genius, he mused silently. Her growth speed is astonishing. Despite having never handled daggers before, she got the hang of it in no time. His mind flickered to Aaron briefly, the contrast clear. Aaron, on the other hand, he's sluggish. At this rate, he might not last long. Jenna, standing nearby, chimed in, her voice smug. Aaron's no match for me. I went easy on him, and he still couldn't keep up. Han cut through her arrogance with a calm command. Stop being arrogant and follow me. Jenna grinned. What's the matter? Won't you teach your number one subordinate today? Before Han could respond, Isel jumped in, clearly frustrated. Who do you think you are, following Han around like that? I'm his number one subordinate. Get lost. Jenna didn't miss a beat. But I'm actually his number one subordinate, right? She cast a sly glance at Han, waiting for him to confirm it. You fox-like wench, Isel muttered, glaring at her. Do you even know who this is? This is the master of... Before she could finish, Han interrupted, his tone neutral. Don't you have work to do? Isel huffed, but quickly composed herself. Anyway, just so you know, I'm the number one subordinate here, got it? Ignoring the back and forth, Han turned to Isel. You said you could open the warehouse, right? Do it. Isel quickly complied, and Han retrieved iron ore grade C, leather grade C, and wooden plank grade C. Glancing at Jenna, he said, "You can't keep using that old iron sword forever. It's time for an upgrade." Jenna's curiosity was piqued. "What are you planning to do?" Han's voice was calm but sure. "We're going to make something better." Isel's eyes lit up with excitement. "Wait, are you making Levitain or Brionac?" Han smirked. "In a place like this? Hardly." System warnings flashed before Han's eyes. "Insufficient facilities. Penalties will be applied. No artisan present. Penalties will be applied. No blueprints. Penalties will be applied." The system prompt followed. Probability of success? Atrocious. "Will you synthesize?" the system asked. Han didn't waver. Manual. A new prompt appeared. Choose a puzzle difficulty. The greater the difficulty, the greater the reward. Without hesitation, Han selected the hardest option. Ultra Hell. Isel's eyes went wide. "Ultra Hell? Even with all those penalties?" Han smirked. "Just watch." The timer began. 3 minutes on the clock as puzzle pieces appeared before him. Han's hands moved quickly, assembling them with precision, like a master craftsman at work. Isel's jaw dropped as she watched in awe. This is the hand of God. The legendary 1,000 hands. Finally, with a final click, the system confirmed super success. Han stood tall, holding the result, a well-forged longsword, rank C-. The blade gleamed sharp and strong despite the crude materials. Isel screamed in excitement. "Gah! It's amazing!" Han inspected the sword with a satisfied nod. "It'll do." Where Han continues his work at the makeshift crafting station. His iron sword, crafted earlier, rests nearby, its blade solid but modest in design, reflecting the limitations of the available materials. Han's focus now shifts to creating additional weapons for the team. The system immediately recognizes Han's crafting success. Ultra great success. Han has crafted a balanced longbow grade C. Ultra great success. Han has crafted a sharp long spear grade C-. Ultra great success. Han has crafted a solid steel shield grade C. Han inspects the freshly made weapons with a mix of approval and mild disappointment. "Are they all C ranks?" he mutters under his breath. "I guess I can't help it with these materials." Isel, observing the scene, steps forward with curiosity. "Won't make more." Han shakes his head firmly. "Any more beyond this and it'll be too noticeable. I don't want the master to get any useless misunderstandings." Isel acknowledges his reasoning with a nod, and Han hands the new equipment to Jenna and Aaron, preparing them for the battle ahead. The system notifies the team of their next objective. Quest type: subjugation. Objective: wipe out all enemies. Jenna, eager to test her new weapon, draws the longbow's string, feeling its tension. "This elasticity is off the charts," she remarks. "With such high quality, won't others try to steal it?" Han, adjusting his grip on the sword, replies calmly. "If you use the personal weapon option, that won't happen. Master's pushing it, making us attack with only 3 people." He pauses briefly before giving orders. "Jenna, you handle that harpy. Aaron, protect Jenna." Aaron stands upright, trying to project confidence despite his fear. "Boss, I'll work hard." But his hands shake as he grips the spear, revealing his anxiety. The battle erupts with the harpies attacking fiercely from above. Aaron's fear becomes evident as the harpies close in. System alert: Aaron's frightened. All stats have decreased by 30%. Han clicks his tongue in frustration. "That punk! He's too excited!" As Aaron stumbles back, Jenna's patience snaps. She rushes over and delivers a hard slap across his face. "Get your act together," she shouts. "You'll die if you fail again. Are you fine with that?" Han's voice cuts through the chaos. "Stop freaking out." Aaron, startled by Jenna's slap, tries to refocus. I will try," he stammers. Jenna's arrows fly fast and true, taking down harpies mid-air, while Han's sword slices through the ground-based enemies. Aaron, regaining his courage, steps up to protect Jenna, following orders as best as he can. With the last harpy defeated, the system's messages flood the screen. Stage clear. MVP Han, Aaron, level up. Aaron, breathing heavily, falls to his knees. I wasn't able to muster much of a performance anyway. What will happen to me? He asks, fear and uncertainty in his voice. System alert. Aaron has been registered under favorites. Han's response remains steady, but slightly reassuring. Seeing as you were put under their favorites, it looks like you will live. Aaron's eyes light up with hope. Really, I'm alive, I survived. Jenna watches, her arms crossed and a smirk on her face. Following Underling 1, it seems Underling 2 has grown up as well. Han frowns at her remark. What underling? Han thought, underlings. In Niflheim, I had real subordinates. Cyrus, the submaster, was level 99 with 5 divine weapons I crafted myself, each imbued with ultimate skills. And Yslat, capable and dependable, managed everything even in my absence. They weren't just AI, they felt real. I wonder if I'll encounter them again as I ascend the tower. Meanwhile, Cyrus and Yslat hold a discussion elsewhere. Cyrus, are you really thinking of going? We need to use every second. You manage the rest, including the master's whereabouts. I'll handle the investigation. Be careful, Cyrus.
I always am. Back at the base camp, a series of upgrade notifications fill the air.
The residence has become level 2. Hero capacity has increased. The cafeteria is complete. Heroes will receive high-quality meals. The training grounds have reached level 2. Training effectiveness has improved. The armory's auxiliary buildings have merged into the equipment workshop. The town square has advanced to level 2. Jenna looks around, wide-eyed. What the Helheim happened here? Aaron scratches his head in confusion. Is the master an archmage? To think such upgrades are possible. Han shrugs casually. The master splurged a bit. He had no choice since this is when it starts getting fun. Han thought, the master is definitely an office worker. His activity times are consistent, and he even spent $65 for the new package. This isn't the behavior of a broke student. The system initiates a X10 summoning using premium gems. As the light fades, confused recruits appear at the summoning point. Where is this place? What the Helheim is happening? I was just at home. Han steps forward, his expression stern as he points the sword toward the recruit's throat. Be quiet. I don't intend to explain it to you all right away. I'll only explain it to those who survive and have their act together. The recruit gulps, silenced by Han's cold demeanor. Lysel steps in, her voice commanding. Everyone focus! Are any of you carpenters? If so, step over there. Any blacksmiths or tanners? Cooks, step forward. One of the recruits protests. What are you? Wait, at least explain a bit. Lysel's voice booms. Shut up! Jenna, watching the scene, leans toward Han. What is she doing? Han, observing Lysel's efficient management, answers. Divvying up jobs. The new facilities need manpower. If those who died before were summoned now, they could have become non-combatants. Lysel continues to direct the recruits, ensuring everyone is assigned a role. Anticipation building as he prepares for the challenges that await on the next floor. The system within the waiting room will now change. The system forms new parties. Party 2, Zid, Hanson, John, Teddy. Lysel's voice remains commanding as she continues, and if you don't have any specialty, then you have no choice but to push your body. Those who are unskilled don't even deserve to be fed scraps. Han watches with narrowed eyes, thinking to himself, the master is finally starting to categorize the useful ones. He's weeding out the freshly summoned 1-stars by sending them into a dungeon. Lysel points towards a large, ominous door and commands, Go into that door already. If you can't adapt, you'll be weeded out. Han's gaze is steady, He's probably challenging floor 1, he mutters quietly. A sudden system notification interrupts the tense atmosphere. John has returned to the embrace of the goddess. His fighting spirit will be eternally remembered. One has already died, Han remarks, his voice tinged with frustration. Jenna's voice sharpens. Couldn't he have lived had you given them a proper explanation? No need to waste an explanation on those that will perish on the lowest floor, Han replies flatly. Moments later, another system notification arrives. Teddy has returned to the embrace of the goddess. His fighting spirit will be eternally remembered. That's 2 down now, Han sighs. At least 2 should survive, he states calmly. As more recruits press forward, Isel continues her assignments, calling out, Dika! Deckard! Sigler! Chloe! Dika's voice trembles. She wants us to fight monsters. I can't do that. No way! Before she can protest further, Aaron steps up, a surprising determination in his eyes. I'll also fight, he shouts. Jenna glances at Han, her voice filled with surprise. Has Aaron always been like that? Han, observing Aaron's unexpected courage, responds, Recommend Aaron as a party member. He lacks combat experience, so this isn't a bad idea. The system chimes. Aaron wishes to join Party 3. Will you authorize it? Yes. No. He selects yes, without hesitation. The system provides a tip. Sometimes a hero will want to join combat. They will demonstrate higher ability in said combat. Helping is fine, but don't set a precedent like me, Han warns Aaron, his voice steady. He nods. I understand. Jenna, relieved and smiling, mutters to herself, I want to go back and eat some rice. I've eaten nothing but potatoes since I got here because of this damn so-called master. Jenna squints at the brightening sky. He's watching us, she says quietly. Like how a god watches the world. Don't worry, Han interjects. He has better things to do than listen in on every individual.
Jenna remains skeptical.
He can't hear our voices? It's filtered and reduced before being relayed to the master, Han explains. The system declares, stage clear. There weren't any fatalities. Han surveys the recruits as they regroup. How many goblins did you kill, Aaron? She asks. Aaron, a bit embarrassed, replies, 1 goblin. All right, so you understood me, Han remarks. Han's voice is calm as he addresses the group. Let's go back to our residence. As they make their way back, Jenna's excitement bubbles up. Are we finally being liberated from potatoes? Arriving at the base, the recruits notice improvements in the facilities. Jenna's eyes widen. Oh, the facility certainly got better. Since there's a cafeteria, does this mean we get to eat expensive food from now on? Han responds pragmatically. As long as the master doesn't think you're useless, Jenna's excitement builds. So we're basically guaranteed the highest quality lamb steaks. Aaron chimes in, I'm content with a turkey, boss. Han's tone turns serious. Did you forget I said you'll be thrown away if you're useless? Han checks the pantry and finds the familiar disappointment. There are seasonings but no ingredients other than potatoes, he exclaims, glaring at Kolf. This asshole. Despite claiming to be a chef. The system displays Kolf's stats. Han shakes his head. Is there no one who has the cooking skill? Han points to Chloe. You're Chloe, right? And me, Chloe stammers. You'll be the one to cook from now on, Han declares. The system prompts, will you appoint Chloe as the chef? Kolf will lose this position. Han chooses yes. Kolf panics. Well, wait, I'll make it again. Han's eyes narrow. You're a fast thinker, but you should have picked an easier lie to cover up. This will be the only time I let this slide. As everyone gathers for a meal, Jenna takes a bite. Delicious. I didn't know potatoes could have such a variety of flavors. Chloe smiles shyly. That's because I used a variety of seasonings. Han takes control of the situation. Listen while eating. I will not be repeating myself. You guys can repeat what I tell you to the next batch of newbies. That is, if you don't want to see people die while flailing around. Aaron's eyes widen with surprise. Is that true? Jenna nods. I also never fought till I came here either. So let's all work together. Enoch, Chloe, you two will be the carpenter and chef respectively. You'll be able to help us in other ways. Kolf, nervous, speaks up. I can also help with woodwork. If this is another lie, I might suggest you as the first sacrifice for synthesis. Han warns coldly. Days pass, and only 3 new trainees join for combat training. Zid, Hansen, and Dika. Han observes, the difference in stats between us is about 7 to 8. That's roughly the gap between a child and an adult. I could have never accomplished such results in a short time if this was Earth.
Jenna's beginner archery reaches level 5 and Aaron's spearmanship advances to level 2 but stagnates afterward.
The 3 new recruits band together, finding camaraderie among themselves. You're very strong, boss, one of them comments. Han replies simply, it's because my level is higher. Level? Another asks, confused. You'll learn soon enough, Han answers with a knowing smile. A few days later, the system initiates a free 10-time summoning, but this time, Han lets Aaron and the trio handle the situation. Only 1 recruit perishes during the initial weeding, allowing the population to grow steadily. Han watches the progress. The population is slowly growing. It'll grow even more. Jenna's voice cuts through his thoughts. But how come the master isn't going to the 5th floor? It's been a while since we cleared the 4th floor. Han's expression darkens slightly. That's because floor 5 is on a whole other level, he said to himself. Every 5 floors, the difficulty shoots up. It's kind of like a boss floor, to put it shortly. There's a chance that even I might not survive.
Jenna looks at Han, concern flashing in her eyes, but he turns away.
I didn't see a reason to tell Jenna how devilish the difficulty will become later on. Floor 4, quest type, subjugation. Objective, eliminate your enemies. The team stands ready, shields raised, awaiting Han's command. The air is thick with anticipation. I'll be in your care, one of the recruits shouts nervously. Han's voice is calm yet firm as he replies, relax. You guys are the shields. There's no need to attack unnecessarily. The sword and bow are right behind you. The weak have their own way of fighting. Use the strength of the group rather than the individual. The team charges forward, adhering to the formation that Han meticulously crafted. Each shield holds firm, covering each other's backs. Han, standing behind, observes their movements intently. I did not join the battle. I could clear this stage by myself, but if I joined in, they wouldn't be able to practice their formations. The recruits clash with the enemies, gradually adapting to Han's strategic direction. After a few grueling minutes, the last of the enemies fall. Stage clear. Zid, Hansen level up, MVP, Jenna. The group gathers to catch their breath. Zid, with a hint of bravado, remarks, it was easy. Han nods approvingly but remains focused. We don't know what kind of quests will be given on floor 5. There will definitely be some I won't be able to handle by myself. He watches as Jenna, despite her fatigue, maintains her vigilance. Her gaze lingers on Han, silently acknowledging his strategy. In the background, equipment production has been progressing rapidly. During the Master's second 10 pull, a blacksmith and a tanner were summoned, activating the equipment workshop. Together with the carpenter, they produced E-rank swords and shields, improving the survivability of newly summoned heroes. Higher-ranked equipment was allocated to the main party, while those who failed to perform were synthesized. Days pass in a cycle of battles, training, and upgrades. Zid, tired of the routine, asks, are we going to the 4th floor today as well? Han's response is clear. No, today we're moving to the 5th floor. Jenna's face lights up with excitement. Really? We're going to the 5th floor? Han's expression remains serious. Yes, but it will be different. Stay alert. If you're too relaxed, it'll be the end. I'll keep that in mind, Jenna replies, adjusting her bow as they prepare to move. Upon entering the 5th floor, the emptiness is unsettling. Aaron's confusion is apparent. Boss, there are no monsters. We'll head to the center of the city first, Han replies, leading the group forward. The city is eerily deserted with no sign of monsters or civilians. Han scans the area, his brow furrowing. "This isn't a subjugation," he mutters. Jenna, following Han's order, climbs a bell tower for a better view. "What can you see?" Han asks. Jenna's voice shaky but urgent. So, I hope I'm seeing this wrong. There are a bunch of goblins outside the city. It looks like they're coming here." Han's response is swift. "How many?" Thousands," Jenna stammers, struggling to grasp the number. "Floor 5. Quest type, survive. Objective, survive the onslaught of enemies." "Thousands of goblins? Are you sure you're not seeing it wrong?" Zid shouts in disbelief. "I really wish I was wrong too," Jenna replies, her voice filled with dread. Han's instructions are direct. "Get down for now." Aaron's voice shakes. "Boss, maybe something went wrong?" "Don't panic. This time, it's not subjugation, but survival. We just need to endure them for a set amount of time," Han explains. "Can't we just hide?" a recruit asks desperately. Han shakes his head. "No, we can't enter the buildings. Stay with the group." "How long do we have to survive for?" Aaron asks, fear evident in his eyes. Han, knowing the true time but choosing to deceive for morale, replies, 10 minutes. We only need to survive for 10 minutes after clashing with the enemy." Jenna and the others believe Han's words, preparing for a short but intense struggle. In reality, it's 30 minutes, but I can't let them know that. The truth would crush their spirits. The system initiates the timer. The first wave of goblins charges at the team and Han issues immediate commands. "Zid, block the left flank. Hansen, stay with him. Aaron, take the right." As goblins clash with their barricades, Han yells, "Use their corpses as barriers!" "Understood." Zid and Hansen respond in unison, driven by Han's strategic presence. The battle becomes chaotic as the recruits fight in a circular rhythm. "Block, recover, stab back," Han repeats, keeping the group focused. Even Jenna waits for Han's signal before releasing her arrows. "Is it really just 10 minutes?" Aaron asks again, his voice tinged with hope. Han's response is firm. "Yes, just 10 minutes." But the timer tells a different story. Despite knowing the real duration, Han maintains the facade. They have to believe it's only 10 minutes. The hope will keep them going. The battle is fierce and relentless as Han commands the team, keeping the defense tight and efficient. "Zid, switch with Hansen," Han shouts over the noise of the battlefield. Zid, already struggling with fatigue, tries to resist. I can still do more." "Shut up! Switch now!" Han insists, his tone leaving no room for hesitation. "Shit, I'm still low on stamina," he mutters. Han observes the situation critically. Not only are these guys low-leveled, but they're also unskilled. They waste too much energy. One strike is enough. One at a time, kill efficiently, using the least stamina possible. Stab, slice, stab again. Han's strategy is simple and efficient. As he moves through the goblins, taking them down one by one. These goblins are just weaklings from the first floor, but there are too many of them. Do they not feel any fear? They keep coming like they want to die. "Switch again," Han commands. "All right," Hansen responds, trying to maintain his stance. "That's the most dangerous part," Han thinks to himself. He then directs Jenna. "Jenna, help Zid. Gather your arrows immediately after you shoot them." Jenna's eyes light up with anticipation. "I've been waiting for this," she exclaims, moving into position. "Jenna, you also need to deal with the goblins that come to the opening, all right?" Han adds. "Yes, sir," Jenna replies confidently, already firing arrows with precision. Aaron, filled with panic, shouts, "Boss, didn't you say it was only 10 minutes?" Han's voice is steady as he responds, "You idiot, it's only been 5 minutes." Just then, Jenna shouts at the approaching goblins, "Stop coming up here, it's getting annoying." As Jenna continues firing, Zid, momentarily distracted, fails to block an incoming goblin's attack. The goblin swings its weapon, severing Zid's right hand with a brutal slash. "Ah!" Zid screams, clutching the bleeding stump, blood spraying onto the ground. Zid is bleeding, health will slowly decrease. Zid, switch with Hansen, Han commands urgently. Hansen tries to help. Hold on, Zid, don't think about it and just switch. Hold off the goblins, Han insists. But, Hansen protests, seeing Zid's condition. Stop being a crybaby. You'll be healed if you go back, Han snaps. The system notification pops up. Zid is frightened. All stats are decreased by 30%. Zid, staring at the bloody stump where his hand used to be, trembles in fear. My hand. I lost my hand. Han's frustration peaks. You little crybaby. Are you planning to die here? Get a hold of yourself, you fuck. Are you going to leave us all to die? I'm sorry, Zid manages to say, his voice filled with pain and desperation. Jenna, halt Zid's bleeding, Han commands. Zid, remember that Hansen will die if you don't switch with him. Zid, despite the pain, grits his teeth and responds, Ook! Yes! He stumbles back, switching with Hansen, who takes over the front line. Go back, shithead! Han yells. Meanwhile, Hansen struggles with his weapon. Boss, my sword isn't working, he shouts. Han inspects Hansen's sword quickly. Just as I expected. It's better than the F-grade old iron sword, but it's still an ordinary iron sword. Han responds firmly, even if it doesn't have a blade, you can still hit the goblins with it. Use your shield if needed. Turning to Jenna, Han commands, Jenna, switch with Aaron. Jenna moves quickly but hesitates. Already. Yes, don't be stubborn, Han insists. Aaron, seeing Jenna's exhaustion, tries to reassure her. Don't worry. Even resting for 10 seconds is enough. Reluctantly, Jenna switches with Aaron, stepping back to recover. 3 minutes left. Just endure for 3 more minutes, Han shouts, trying to maintain the team's morale. How could 30 minutes feel this long? Aaron, switch with Jenna, Han orders. Aaron obeys, switching back with Jenna. Hansen, switch, Han commands. Yes, Hansen responds, moving swiftly. Jenna, shoot arrows at Hansen, Han directs. Huh, but Jenna hesitates. Shit, not many arrows left, Jenna exclaims, feeling the pressure. We'll die if that part is breached anyway. Shoot all of them, Han insists. All right, Jenna agrees, unleashing the last of her arrows. Amid the chaos, Zid tries to hold his ground, but fails to notice a goblin approaching from behind. The goblin drives its blade into Zid's abdomen, and he collapses to the ground. Jenna's eyes widen. Ha! Ha! Zid! She screams, rushing toward him. The system notification appears. Zid has fallen into a moribund state. His life is in danger. Damn it! Han curses under his breath as the battle grows increasingly desperate. The goblins are unyielding, pushing the team to its limits. Jenna's voice trembles as she looks at Zid, who's on the ground, bleeding profusely. What do I do? Do I pull it out? She asks frantically, unsure of how to help. Zid, wincing in pain, grits his teeth. Oh, fuck. Han, seeing Zid's dire state, tries to step in. Hansen, go to the left passageway. I'll take care of this here, Han commands, maintaining control of the situation. Hansen hesitates, his eyes darting to Zid's limp form. Boss? Zid. Han's response is blunt and unforgiving. That guy is resting because he's tired. Shut up and move. Zid has returned to the embrace of the goddess. His fighting spirit will be eternally remembered. The system notification flashes coldly, marking Zid's death. Hansen's expression hardens. Understood, he replies, pushing aside his emotions. Han quickly redirects his attention. Jenna, Zid is already dead. Ignore it and help on this side. Jenna, her voice shaky, replies, Yes, sir. She focuses her arrows on the incoming goblins, determined to hold the line. Skill awakening. Beginner short sword proficiency has increased to level 3. Nimble movement skill has been learned. The system notification appears, signaling Jenna's progress. Breathing heavily, Jenna shouts, How much longer do we have left? I don't have time to look at the time, just keep killing, Han yells back, his voice commanding and urgent. Han grits his teeth, the weight of the battle pressing down on him. These awakenings or whatever don't mean jack shit if we die, he thinks to himself, frustration building. Suddenly, Hansen is struck again by a goblin, causing a deep wound. "Ah!" Hansen screams, blood pouring from the gash. Hansen is bleeding. He will lose health at regular intervals. Hansen's voice is filled with desperation. "Boss, save me! Please, save me! I don't want to die!" "Boss! Boss, save me! Save me, please!" Han pushes forward, his voice unyielding. "Jenna, Aaron, move with me," he commands, rallying his team. Jenna's eyes well up with tears. "Zid and Hansen." Han's tone is harsh but necessary. "If you're gonna mourn them, do it after you survive." Hansen has returned to the embrace of the goddess. His fighting spirit will be eternally remembered. The system coldly announces Hansen's death. Jenna's voice cracks. "Are we going to die here?" "Don't say shit like that! Jenna, climb the wall behind us!" Han commands, urgency clear in his voice. Jenna hesitates, disbelief evident in her tone. "Are you telling me to run away by myself?" Han's response is sharp. "What are you talking about? You climb up, then I'll climb up after you." "They're here!" Jenna shouts as another wave of goblins closes in. "Don't use stab. We can't afford to kill only one per attack," Han warns, adjusting their strategy. Jenna climbs the wall quickly, adrenaline fueling her movements. "I'm up! Hurry!" she yells. "Aaron, you get up as well," Han commands. Jenna extends her hand to Aaron. "Grab my hand!" Aaron reaches for her hand, but a goblin stabs his leg mid-climb. "Okay, quack!" he cries out in pain. "Jenna, hold him and don't let go!" Han shouts, urgency in his voice. Han makes a split-second decision. "I'm cutting your leg," he declares. Aaron's scream pierces the air. "Ah! Aaron is bleeding. He will lose health at regular intervals. Pull him up," Han orders, desperation clear. "Aaron is in critical condition. His life is in danger."
The system warns, emphasizing Aaron's precarious state.
Jenna gasps. "They're stepping on themselves to get up." "Whoa, smart." Han's voice is rough. "What the hell do you mean smart? Use Aaron's spear. Just stab anything that comes close." "Okay," Jenna responds, using Aaron's spear to fend off the goblins. "Stop them from coming up. If we lose here, there's nowhere else to run," Han commands, determination in his voice. Jenna suddenly loses her grip on the spear. "Kiek, I dropped the spear. What do I do now?" "Why are you asking? Just kick them with your feet," Han shouts back. Jenna's voice is filled with panic. "There are too many of them. How long do we have left? We can't hold on any longer." 30 seconds. Just 30 more seconds," Han yells, his voice strained. Jenna's disbelief is palpable. "It feels like an hour has passed." Han's voice remains strong, even as exhaustion sets in. "I'm not lying. Just trust me once and hold on for a bit longer." "I'm not lying this time. Just survive for a little longer," Han thinks desperately, his resolve unbroken. The timer flashes. The pressure mounts as the goblins close in. Han grunts as he takes hits, blocking and counter-attacking relentlessly. Suddenly, a goblin finds an opening and drives its blade into Han's side. "You bastards!" Han grits out, blood trickling from the wound, but his focus unwavering. Han struggles to maintain his balance as blood flows freely from his wounds, the pain intensifying with each passing second. Han is bleeding. He will lose health at regular intervals. The system flashes another urgent warning. Jenna is bleeding. She will lose health at regular intervals. Han's vision blurs, and his breathing grows ragged. It's over. Am I going to die here? On the 5th floor? Merely the 5th floor? It's unfair. I don't understand why I'm struggling like this. This would have never happened on Earth. Why me? Why me? He thinks, despair threatening to overwhelm him. In a burst of defiant rage, Han yells, "You bastards! This isn't over. We're only on the 5th floor. There's no way that I'll die at a place like this." Han's inner fire blazes, refusing to be extinguished. "Bring it on, you shits!" he roars, pushing past the agony. His determination reaches a fever pitch, triggering a sudden notification. Skill awakening. Han Berserk's skill has been learned. Even breathing is hard. My body is screaming in pain, but Han's voice echoes his refusal to give in. "Do you want to kill me? All right then, bring it on, you shits. Even if I break, I will not fall. Even if it breaks, I will never stop," Han thinks, unyielding. Then, just as Han braces for another wave, the unexpected happens. The timer suddenly runs out, and the goblins freeze mid-charge. Everything stops, time itself seems to pause. A system notification appears. "Stage clear! Han level up, Jenna level up, and Aaron level up. MVP Han." The system's voice follows, filled with a tone of triumph. "Congratulations, Master! You've cleared the 5th floor. The daily dungeon is unlocked." Han's breathing slows as he tries to comprehend what just happened. The system continues. "Gather materials and try to strengthen heroes in the waiting room." Jenna collapses, letting out a mix of exhausted laughter. "Ah ha ha!" her voice tinged with relief and disbelief. "Can you give me a hand? I have no strength, so I can't get up." "Did we survive?" she asks, her voice barely audible. "Yeah, seeing that the waiting room is going up, it seems like we really cleared it," Han replies, still catching his breath. Jenna looks around with a lingering sense of disbelief. "We're on the 5th floor and it's already this difficult?" "If that's the case, then." "No, it was unique this time," Han clarifies. "It was systematized, so if even one of us failed to fulfill their role, then we'd all die. We wouldn't have had to fight so miserably if I had raised Zid and Hansen a bit more. It won't be that hard to survive if the party is well established. We were just unlucky that it happened when we were in our weakest state." Jenna nods, her voice tinged with understanding. I know that." One of the trio members approaches, face filled with hopeful anticipation. "Good work, boss!" Big sis Chloe prepared some delicious food. "Are Zid and Hansen in there?" Han's expression becomes cold. "They died." The recruit's face falls, his voice shaky. "Pardon? They're dead?" Han repeats with finality. Suddenly, Isel's voice rings out, loud and clear. "Master is calling. Anyone who's called, come out." The reality of their narrow victory and its grim cost begins to settle in as they prepare for what lies ahead. Han stands amidst the aftermath of the battle, feeling the lingering ache of his injuries. "I have no intention of being sentimental over someone's death. As part of the front line climbing up this tower, death will become an everyday occurrence." His thoughts are cold and resolute, accepting the brutal reality of their situation. He pauses, reflecting on his new skill. "Now that I think about it, did I get the Berserk skill?" Han wonders aloud, intrigued by its sudden appearance. Composure and Berserk can't exist together. It's 100% a bug. Composure lets me hold on to my sanity, while Berserk lets go of my sanity in return for increased power. It's probably related to how I'm both a master and a hero. I don't know yet, but I don't want to think about it, at least not today.
Han dismisses the thought, his focus shifting to the immediate future.
"Starting tomorrow, things will get busy. So, let's just rest for today," he decides, allowing himself a rare moment of respite. Han arrives at the training grounds for his usual morning workout, only to find Jenna already there, practicing with an unusual intensity. He raises an eyebrow, surprised by her early arrival. "You're earlier than usual," he notes. Jenna doesn't stop her routine as she responds, her voice determined. "I didn't want to die." Han nods, understanding her drive. He begins his stretches nearby, keeping an eye on her progress. But as he continues his workout, he suddenly feels Jenna's hand brush against his abs. He stops mid-movement, startled by the unexpected touch. "What are you doing?" he asks, his tone a mix of confusion and annoyance. Jenna's hand lingers for a moment longer before she pulls it back, a mischievous grin spreading across her face. "Tasty," she remarks casually. Han's expression shifts to disbelief. Even after everything that happened yesterday, she's still shameless enough to act like this? It's not like I'm going to dull them, Jenna adds, still grinning. It will dull, Han retorts sharply, shaking his head. The brief exchange fades into silence as Jenna adjusts her stance, refocusing on her training. It doesn't look like Aaron is coming today, she observes. Leave him be, Han replies. He's probably sulking in his room. He was close with Zid and Hansen. Jenna's face becomes serious. Normally it would be correct to wake up early and train. It was the same for Dika. Zid and Hansen were serious about training, Han says. Not like the others who only put effort when the master logs on. Zid and Hansen had potential. They would have been useful if I had nurtured them more. It's unfortunate that they're the ones who died. Let's focus on our training, Jenna suggests, trying to shift the mood. A few minutes later, Aaron arrives, his face filled with guilt. I apologize for being late, he says quietly. Han's eyes narrow. Are you a sinner? What's with your expression? If I was a bit stronger, those two. Aaron starts, his voice trembling. They died because they were weak. That's all there is to it, Han replies coldly. It's been a month since I came to this world, which is probably just over 10 days in Earth time. With my observations, I've figured out Whatever's login patterns. The time dilation between the waiting room and Earth is about 3 to 1. Whatever logs in 3 times a day, morning, noon, and afternoon. The combat stages, however, run in real time. If the time dilation was applied there, yesterday's 30 minutes would have felt like an hour and a half. We would have been wiped out. Isel's voice suddenly echoes across the training grounds. Everyone, be like our excellent Han, succeeding in a survival mission on the 5th floor using only trash. What a feat for the Master of Masters. Jenna glances at Han with a look of disbelief. Why the hell is she acting like that? Han smirks. It's a trade secret. Isel's voice grows more intense. If you're sleeping in your residences while I'm suffering, I won't let you go. Leave them be, Han remarks. They come out when you call for them anyway. The system announces, party has been created. Han, Jenna, Louis, Jeffrey, Owen. Isel signals the team. The 5 here will go into the space-time rift. Over. Jenna looks skeptical. Those 2? I don't think I've seen them before. Don't worry, it won't be too difficult this time, Han reassures her. A dungeon feast that changes every day. Daily dungeon. Acquire all sorts of rare materials. Kenout Forest 11 hours. Owen, anxious, asks, What, will we be fighting with you? Name? Han asks. Owen, he replies nervously. With your strength, I don't think we'll be of much help. Don't worry. You guys won't be fighting, Han says. Party 4 has entered the daily dungeon. Kenout Forest super easy. They will return after acquiring materials. A system tip pops up. The type of dungeon changes depending on the day. Remember to check it. Jenna surveys the surroundings. Where are the enemies? Is it a special quest like the 5th floor? Amidst the quiet of the daily dungeon, Han suddenly reaches out and pinches Jenna's cheeks, surprising her. What are you doing? Jenna asks, her speech muffled by the pinch. It's funny. Why? Han responds, his expression still serious. It's not funny too, meh? Jenna protests, trying to wriggle free. This is a place called Daily Dungeon, Han explains. It's a place to collect materials. Owen, still confused, asks, What is this, 10? Trash can. No, think of it as our shopping basket, Han clarifies. Han has collected Trash F. A system tip follows. Trash is unneeded. Throw it away. Throw all the materials you collect into there, Han commands. Things like tree branches. Han has collected tree branch. They'll pile up in our storehouse. We'll use them to make items, Han continues. Tip: 100% tree branches can be manufactured into lumber. However, a carpenter is needed. Owen remains unsure. Is that really it? Jenna asks. Is this all we have to do? We don't have to fight anything? Han shakes his head. You're different. Let's go hunt. Follow me. Teach. Thought I'd have it easy for once, Jenna grumbles. What do we need to hunt? Wild boar, deer, rabbits? Can we finally eat meat now? Jenna spots her prey and rushes forward. Prey found. Meat. Wait for me. Jenna examines her catch closely. It looks tasty, she comments. Do you know how to butcher it? Han asks. Of course I do, Jenna replies confidently. After draining the blood, you peel off its leather and remove its organs. Take care of the materials and put them into the dimensional gate. Don't miss a single one, Han instructs. Where are you going? Jenna asks. Hunting, Han replies flatly. I'm also sick and tired of eating only potatoes. The timer reads 32 minutes, 45 seconds. Han continues deeper into the forest, eyes locked on his target. Found it! Queen of the forest! He spots a rare monster lurking nearby. It's a rare monster that appears on forest dungeon days. The low-grade attribute stone it carries is used as material for advancement. They don't always spawn, but its location is predictable. Without hesitation, Han swiftly kills all the male monsters surrounding the queen. All your boyfriends are dead. How bad do you feel? Han taunts. Come at me. Tension fills the air in Sinmiral Plateau. The recruits, still adjusting to the eerie quiet of the forest, stand on edge. Suddenly, a chilling cry breaks the silence. Hake! It's a monster! Shouts one of the new recruits, his face pale with terror as he spots a looming figure emerging from the mist. Owen, nearby, turns sharply toward the sound, panic evident in his voice. A monster? No. Han steps forward from the shadows, carrying the massive head of the Deer Queen in one hand, blood dripping from its severed neck and stored within his shield. His calm but commanding presence cuts through the chaos. Can't you recognize me? Han's voice is calm yet firm, snapping the panicked recruits back to reality. Jenna, seeing Han struggle with the weight of the head, smirks. Han's face shows a hint of fatigue as he calls out, I'm tired as hell, so help me out. Jenna raises an eyebrow. How can a deer be this big? She exclaims. Han, still catching his breath, then shifts his attention to Jenna. How many have you caught? 2 deer and a boar. Everyone in the waiting room should have enough to eat, Jenna replies, observing the haul. But why did you bring the head? The head isn't tasty. Jenna frowns, struggling to cut through the tough horn. Now that I look at it, it has a horn even though it's female. You can tell its gender by looking at the head? Jenna replies confidently, Of course, I've lived in the forest for a long time. Suddenly, a notification pops up. Skill awakening. Jenna acquired the skill. Hunter of the forest. She's awakened again. Seems like her advancement will go smoothly, Han thinks to himself. As they prepare to process the prey, Jenna notices a faint glow emanating from the Deer Queen's body. Low-grade wind attribute stone rank D-, an attribute stone filled with the aura of the forest, used in crafting various items and in advancing heroes. Aaron's excitement is palpable as he sees the meat. Ooh, meat! How long has it been since we had meat? Jenna glances back, noticing the recruits' morale boosting. Seems like they're excited. They've already eaten 1 deer. If you're done eating, follow me. Han and Jenna step forward, entering the daily dungeon. Temporary party, Han Jenna, is entering Sinmiral Plateau super easy. Jenna seems unsure. But can I really get stronger if we gather materials? If you want to get stronger, you need something called an attribute stone. We're here to gather them. The duo continues to explore, eventually reaching a scenic clearing. Jenna takes in the view. Look at this view! And the wind feels nice too. Han spots a peculiar plant nearby. Plant of life? I've seen them in drawings. They're the main ingredients for making recovery potions. I should pick them up later. Their brief moment of peace is interrupted by the appearance of wolves. Jenna swiftly draws her bow. Jenna comments, We're having no trouble dealing with one wolf. We don't know if others will smell its blood, so hurry up. Jenna responds playfully, Yes, yes, What should I do with its claws and fangs? Tear them off and keep them separate. Low-grade wind attribute stone rank D-, an attribute stone filled with the plateau's aura. Used in crafting various items and in advancing heroes, the plateau feels strangely peaceful, prompting Jenna to reflect. I wish it could always be like this. Hunting, gathering plants, there's food and a place to sleep. Oh yeah, it would be a paradise if the master wasn't here. Han, slightly flustered, mumbles, I'm the former master. Jenna grins mischievously. I wish the master would never come. Did the guys in Niflheim also think like that? Thinking that it would be better if the master didn't come, Han wonders silently. Do you not want to fight? Fighting on the front line isn't everything. You don't even need to worry about being synthesized. Jenna, sensing a deeper offer, asks, Are you going to give me another place? If the situation gets better, there's nothing I can't do. Why aren't you going to the other roles, boss? Han simply smiles, saying nothing, the weight of leadership evident in his gaze. Days pass, leading to a new quest. Floor 6, quest type exploration. Objective, investigate the unknown location. With a new addition to the party, Dika joins Party 1. Dika greets the team brightly. I look forward to working with you guys. Aaron, still trying to process the shift, remarks. Seems like we're not doing a daily dungeon today. Search, huh? Another quest that rarely appears. Aaron nervously asks, Boss, I don't see any enemies. Could this be the same as the 5th floor? Don't raise your voice. Everyone keep your head down and stay low. A pack of goblins appears in the distance. Goblin level 8. Aaron gulps. Do we have to kill those guys? Hold on, they have a blowhorn. That means they have allies they can call for help. Jenna, can you see anything? Jenna squints, spotting the village ahead. There seems to be a goblin village. There's a bunch of them gathered there. Han grits his teeth. Seems like a trap. They'll ambush us if we engage without proper recon. Jenna, shoot the goblin on the right. Aaron, you throw your spear at the goblin I lure in. The battle begins. Wolves howl and arrows fly as the team fights fiercely. Han lunges forward. I can't let you call for reinforcements. Stage clear. MVP Han. Dika catches his breath, still processing the sudden victory. Is it over? He asks hesitantly. Han shakes his head, his eyes scanning the surroundings for any remaining threats. It's not over yet. He then steps forward decisively. I'll go investigate. A bit? A hint for the next stage is going to be given? Since it's an exploration, there's no way it'll be a single quest. Although it's formed randomly, it's not as if I can't predict anything. A goblin village. Is it a large goblin habitat? Han then disappears, heading back to the waiting room, leaving the others momentarily bewildered. Jenna, noticing his sudden departure, yells after him, Why did you run off by yourself? Han reappears, explaining calmly, I wanted to look around the area. There are quite a few cases where hints are given in the main dungeon. These chain quests that start from an exploration are called streams. Understanding a stream is also a skill a master needs. I don't know if what I saw was conveyed properly to Vativar. How frustrating. It shouldn't be time for a stream to appear yet. It's sooner than I expected. Suddenly, Chloe comes running in, clearly alarmed. Mr. Han, there's trouble. Some, weird people came. Han remains unfazed. This isn't the first time weird people have come here. Chloe continues with urgency. These people seem a little different. They have weapons and their atmosphere is weird as well. Han's expression changes slightly, a sense of anticipation emerging. It's finally here. Premium hero summoning. A connection to the group Maned Wolf Mercenaries has been formed. You feel a strong connection to the 5 summoned individuals. The system provides more context. Tip: when you pull multiple times in a row, you have a very low chance to summon heroes who have relationships with each other. When these heroes are put into a party together, they will be able to fight more effectively than if they were alone. Isil appears beside Han, looking slightly concerned. Did Master spend money? Isil nods. That's right, he purchased the newbie portent package that's priced at $50. 2,500 gems and 50,000 gold, huh? So these guys were summoned through premium summons. If it was me, I would have pulled for them before the 5th floor and put them into a party. Han turns to Chloe, who still looks wary. Chloe, return to the kitchen. They won't eat you up or anything, they're just unusual. Chloe reluctantly nods and retreats, muttering about the unusual newcomers. Han announces to the rest, "Party dismissed. Nothing will change just because unusual rookies came in." Jenna, undeterred by the commotion, approaches one of the new arrivals. "Hello there." Edith, looking a bit shy, responds with a stutter. Hi. Jenna beams. "I'm Jenna Shirai. What's your name?" The woman hesitates before replying. "Edith Callan." Jenna tries to lighten the mood. "This handsome brother here is a bit blunt, but he's kind-hearted." Han quickly interrupts, clearly unamused. "Shut up." Edith Callan, 3-star level 1. As expected of a 3-star, she came with a class. A typical thief type with low strength and vitality but high dexterity, it seems she uses her short swords more than her bow. Han shifts his attention back to Edith. "You said your name is Edith. I want to talk to you for a second. Do you have time right now?" Edith nods. "You know about this place?" Han clarifies. "There are some things I know, but there are some things I don't." "How much do you know? Do you remember how you were able to come here?" Edith sighs, her expression troubled. "I don't know that either. As for what I know, I was summoned here. To fight, that's all. My head hurts if I try to remember more than that." Han presses on. "Do you know about synthesis and other tea things?" Edith looks down. "Synthesis, to sacrifice another to become stronger. As I thought, the information they have differs depending on the summoned rank," Han ponders. Han observes Edith's clothing. "I can tell you used to be a mercenary from your outfit." Edith nods. "I was a part of the Maned Wolf mercenaries." Jenna chimes in, intrigued. "Maned Wolf? That sounds cool." Edith continues, recalling her past. "I remember doing work in Halcyon, but after waking up, I was here. Considering she's 3-star, she probably had a high rank among the mercenaries as well. Although she's also a mercenary, there's a difference from Molmont, who was 2-star. Jenna's eyes widen. "That's awesome. It sounds cool." Edith, slightly embarrassed, responds, "Really?" But now, suddenly Ysel steps forward, calling out to the summoned heroes. "Avant, Jaken, Wape, Banyan, Edith. Master is summoning you. Get out here now." Jaken grumbles. "Who is it? Who's calling my name?" Edith answers calmly. "It seems that the Master is calling us." "Let's go." Jaken's face lights up. "I finally got to taste meat for the first time in a while. I really want to see what that guy looks like." Chloe, observing from the side, comments, "That man said he wanted to eat meat and took an entire leg with him. That's enough to feed 5 people if prepared properly." As the group heads toward the town square, a notification appears. Party 5 will have its name changed to Maned Wolf. Han proceeds to organize the party, adding heroes to Maned Wolf. Avant, 3-star. Jaken, 3-star. Wape, 3-star. Banyan, 3-star. Edith, 3-star. Avant, 3-star, has been selected as the team leader of Maned Wolf. A civilian watching the scene mutters, "There's something off about them. They have weapons on them." Han retorts, unfazed, "I have a weapon on me as well." The civilian tries to explain, "But they just feel like they're bad people." Another civilian nods. "That's right. This ruckus was for nothing," Han thinks, dismissing the crowd. Ysel then commands, "All right, rookies, enter. Master is waiting for you." Avant responds confidently, "I already know." Jaken, fired up, declares, "Let's go all out." They didn't seem like good people, but they were also strong, Han reflects. Han then turns to Jenna. "What do you think?" Jenna hesitates before answering. "Edith looks kind, but I don't know about the rest." Han, with a slight edge to his voice, asks, "What are you asking me to do? Protect you guys?" A civilian pleads, "We'll be thankful if you do." Jenna raises an eyebrow. "For free?" the civilian stammers. That's... You're strong." Han's expression hardens. "Wasn't it not too long ago that you took training so lightly? Yet now you come to me for help? If they look strong, bow down and grovel in front of them. Isn't that the survival strategy you guys use?" "Forget Aaron. These guys can't even match up to Dika. Their daily lives probably consisted of loosely training and then eating the meat that Jenna hunted. They could have even learned skills from Chloe or the artisans. These guys act like they're trying while only just evading getting synthesized." Han turns away, his voice cold. "Piss off before I get angry. While you were on the brink of death from bleeding out, they were slacking off or sleeping in. Don't sympathize with them." Han's gaze sharpened as he looked at Aaron. "Were you fighting?" Dika, caught off guard by Han's question, blinked in surprise. "How did you know?" A faint smirk played on Han's lips. "How can I not know when your eyes are swollen like a pufferfish?" Aaron shifted, trying to downplay it. "It was a simple duel. He requested it." Han nodded, his voice softening slightly. "I get it. Go in and rest." Just as Han turned, he noticed Jenna moving purposefully toward the conversation, stepping forward with a defiant look in her eyes. Raising an eyebrow, Han called out, "Why are you going in?" Before she could respond, a familiar chime filled the air, signaling an incoming system notification. "System notification incoming. Stage clear." Jaken's laughter echoed across the field as he brushed off his clothes. There was nothing but weak mutts. Wape sneered, crossing his arms. "Goblins. Ah, I can't get excited playing with kids." Avant stepped forward, his gaze narrowing as he assessed Han and his group. "Who are you?" Han met Avant's gaze with a smirk. "Me? That's none your business." Jaken's face twisted with anger. "Oi! How dare you talk so disrespectfully?" At this, Jenna stepped forward, meeting Jaken's hostile gaze with a steady calm. "You're the ones who were rude first," she said sharply, her tone leaving no room for argument. Wape's glare shifted to Jenna, sizing her up. "Who's this chick?" Avant, noticing the tension, introduced himself with a calm confidence. "My name is Avant de Jacques. I'm the captain of the maned wolf mercenaries. And you?" "Han Yslat," came the unflinching reply. Avant's gaze lingered on the weapon at Han's side. "You have a weapon on you? Are you a mercenary?" Han shrugged, a casual smirk on his face. "Nah, I was a farmer." Avant raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued. "A farmer? Was the gathering earlier the entire population of this place?" "Yeah. Why?" Han replied, his tone nonchalant. Avant simply nodded. "I see." Suddenly, Jaken stepped forward, his eyes full of aggression. He took another threatening step toward Han, his intentions clear. Without hesitation, Jenna raised her bow, her gaze locked on Jaken. In a swift movement, she released an arrow that grazed Jaken's chin, leaving a faint cut. He staggered back, eyes wide with shock and fury. "Stay where you are," Jenna warned, her voice low and unwavering. Jaken's face contorted with rage as he turned toward Jenna. You bitch!" Avant's voice was deadly calm as he addressed Han. "Did you just raise your weapon against us?" Edith, sensing the tension, tried to diffuse the situation. "Let's call it here, Avant. It's late." Avant snapped back. "Shut it! Do you know who we are?" Han's expression remained steady, his voice cold. "I know that very well. You're trash." Avant is now showing hostility against Han. Han and the maned wolf team have become enemies. Please observe the relationship between heroes closely. Isel's voice trembled slightly with urgency. "Stop! Fighting between heroes is forbidden. Do you want to be punished by Master?" Han shrugged. "I didn't think it was forbidden." Isel insisted, "Well, yes, but..." Han's gaze remained cold and piercing. "Tell me the truth. You guys aren't mercenaries, are you?" Avant scoffed, a smug look in his eyes. "What nonsense are you talking about? We are mercenaries who only take action when hired for a job." Han chuckled darkly. "Bullshit! You're bandits." Avant's patience wore thin. You keep crossing the line. Do you really want to be diced up? Han turned to Ysel. Ysel, guys like this will only get in the way. Regardless of the rank, sometimes heroes with an evil alignment will be summoned. Not only does it ruin the order of the waiting room, but they also decrease efficiency. In other words, they're trash that needs to be weeded out. Ysel hesitated. Still, Han's voice was decisive. Open the duel system. Han has challenged Avant to a duel. System tip: duels are one of the ways you can resolve conflict between heroes. With consent from both parties, they can even bet special terms. Avant's grin was twisted with amusement. I've never met a bastard as crazy as you. What did we do to wrong you that you're going this far? Han's stare was icy, his tone unwavering. Just think of it like you were bit by a rabid dog. I know very well how guys like you act. You asked if that was everyone earlier to scope things out. That's because it'd be troublesome if there was someone strong. And after you determined that there wasn't, this was the course of action you took. Freshly summoned 1-stars don't even feel like a snack. Am I wrong? Avant's eyes sparkled with malice. Oh ho! Are you saying y'all become a sacrifice? Jenna, concerned, turned to Han. What are you suggesting? Han's expression remained fierce. It's simple. If I win, I consume him. If he wins, hell consume me. Avant's smirk widened as he accepted the terms. That sounds fun! Avant has accepted the duel. The duel condition proposed by each hero is synthesization.